I have a story to tell that sends shivers down my spine to this day. I was a special agent with the FBI for over 12 years. And during that time, I've seen and heard some very strange things, but nothing that would make me question my sanity. That is, until now. It all started when I was called to provide backup for a team investigating suspicious activity in the Midwest. The main team was investigating individuals laundering money through several local small businesses. We were tasked with surveilling an area where some strange activity had been reported. The area was quiet at first, but that didn't last long. As we watched, things began to get strange. I could feel the hairs on my neck stand up as we witnessed strange occurrences around the property we were monitoring. The businesses that were receiving the laundered money were all owned by the same man, and one of them was an auto repair shop. We'd been watching him for a while, but things started happening around his property that we couldn't explain. The darkness enveloped us as we watched the auto repair shop through the night vision goggles. We'd been tracking several individuals for 24 hours, and something unusual had caught the attention of the surveillance team. It was said to be something that wasn't natural. At first, I didn't believe it, but when I saw it with my own eyes, I knew this was no ordinary surveillance operation. I was called in for backup, and my partner and I were stationed in a different location from the main team. We were monitoring the auto repair shop just outside a small town in the Midwest. The shop owner had been under investigation for money laundering, and the team had been trying to track down the source of the money. However, that night, we saw something that had nothing to do with money laundering. The auto shop's property backed up to the woods and several trails through the dense forest. It was pitch black out, and the only light was the green glow from our night vision goggles. We could see two large trees on either side of the driveway that led to the auto shop. One of them had been struck by lightning at some point, leaving a jagged scar running down its trunk. As we watched, something caught our attention. Movement in the woods. At first it was just a shadow, but then it started to take shape. It was tall, much taller than any human we had ever seen. It moved with a strange fluid grace, like gliding through the trees. My heart was pounding in my chest as I watched it approach the auto shop. It stopped at the edge of the property, and we could see it was covered in matted furs like a wild animal. Its face was obscured, but we could see its eyes glowing yellow in the darkness. I turned to my partner, who was already on the phone with the main team. They needed to see this for themselves. We kept our eyes trained on the creature as it moved around the property, sniffing at the cars and the equipment. It was like it was searching for something. Finally, it stopped in front of the two trees that flanked the driveway. It looked up at the one struck by lightning and let out a bone-chilling howl. The sound echoed through the forest, and I could feel the hair on the back of my neck stand up. We watched it disappear into the woods, moving with the same strange, fluid grace as before. My partner and I were speechless, but knew we had just witnessed something incredible. We were no longer investigating a money laundering operation. We had stumbled upon something more extraordinary, something that defied explanation. As I continued to track the creature with my night vision, I noticed something even more terrifying. Its body was covered in thick matted fur that looked like it hadn't been groomed in years. But that wasn't the worst part. Its eyes were like nothing I'd ever seen, a bright, glowing yellow that seemed to pierce through the darkness. And when it turned its head to look in my direction, I felt a chill run down my spine. Its face was twisted into a snarl, revealing razor-sharp teeth that gleamed in the moonlight. I could hear my heart pounding in my chest as the creature moved with surprising agility for its massive size. And as it dragged the deer across the field, I could see its claws were long and sharp, easily capable of tearing through flesh and bone. It was unlike any animal I had ever encountered, and I couldn't help but wonder what other horrors might be lurking in the shadows. As the days passed by, the memory of the creature's glowing eyes and massive size burned into my mind. I couldn't help but feel uneasy, knowing that there was something out there that was beyond my comprehension. It wasn't just the fear of the unknown, but the realization that our investigation was threatened by something we couldn't control. Every night as we worked tirelessly to track down the creature, I couldn't shake off the feeling that we were being watched. It was as if the creature was lurking just beyond our reach, waiting for the right moment to strike. I could sense its presence, like a cold chill down my spine, and I knew we had to be careful. One evening, as we were staking out the field behind the auto shop, A sudden gust of wind caused the trees to rustle and shake. My partner and I immediately turned our attention toward the woods, where the creature had been spotted. We couldn't see anything in the darkness, but we could sense that something was moving out there. The hairs on my neck stood up, and I knew we were in danger. As we watched and waited, the rustling grew louder, and we could hear something heavy crashing through the underbrush. We readied our guns and scanned the woods, looking for any sign of movement. And then, as suddenly as it began, the noise stopped. We held our breath, waiting for the creature to reveal itself, but there was only silence. We kept a close eye on the field for the next few days, hoping to catch another glimpse of the creature. We set up cameras and motion sensors, but nothing seemed to work. It was as if the creature knew we were watching, and it had vanished into thin air. As the weeks passed, our investigation into the money laundering ring continued, but the memory of the creature never left us. We couldn't help but wonder if it was somehow connected to the case, or if there was some dark force at work that we couldn't see. We pored over our notes and evidence, searching for any clue that could lead us to the creature, but there was nothing. Ultimately, we were forced to accept that the creature was beyond our reach, a mystery we might never solve. But the memory of its glowing eyes and massive size lingered, reminding us of the dangers that lurked beyond our understanding. Years later, I could still feel the cold chill of fear running down my spine as I stood there, watching and waiting for something I knew I could never fully comprehend.